The front door swung open with a confidence that made Wendy's stomach turn. Justin walked in first, his hand possessively gripping Sandra's waist, both of them laughing like teenagers sneaking past curfew. Sandra's heels clicked against the marble floor. The floor Wendy had chosen during the renovation 3 years ago when their marriage still felt like a partnership. "This is it," Justin announced, gesturing around the spacious living room as if he owned it alone. "We'll just grab my things and—" Then Sandra saw her. Wendy stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, silhouetted against the Lagos afternoon skyline, dressed in a tailored navy suit with her hair pulled back in the sleek bun she wore only for board meetings. Sandra's face drained of color. Her manicured hand flew to her mouth, trembling as she pointed. Wait. Her voice cracked. "You're the CEO? Justin, that's— Oh my God, that's her." Justin's smile froze. "Before we continue, let me ask you something quietly. Where are you listening from right now? And what time is it in your part of the world?" Some of us are hearing this story under the hot afternoon sun. Some in the calm of the night, when thoughts are heavy and hearts are open. Different places, one story, one lesson. If stories like this speak to your heart, please subscribe to the channel. Your like helps this story reach another soul. Your comment tells me you understand the lesson. And when you share, you may be saving someone from the same mistake. Now let us continue. For 6 years, Wendy had perfected the art of invisibility. Not the kind that made her blend into crowds or disappear at social gatherings, quite the opposite. She was beautiful, articulate, and educated. People noticed her. But what they didn't notice was the empire she controlled from behind carefully constructed walls of trusts, proxy boards, and strategic anonymity. Wendy Okonkwo was the sole heir to the Okonkwo Holdings fortune, a conglomerate that stretched across real estate, telecommunications, and manufacturing throughout West Africa. When her father passed 5 years into her marriage, she inherited everything. But she made a choice that baffled her family's lawyers. She would run the companies through a management trust, keeping her name out of public records and executive announcements. "I want to know my marriage is real," she told her mother during a late-night conversation after the funeral. "I want Justin to love me, not what I represent." Her mother had shaken her head sadly. "My daughter, love is tested by truth, not protected by secrets." Wendy hadn't listened. She'd met Justin at a charity fundraiser when she was 24, fresh from her MBA at Oxford and still idealistic about love. He was charming, ambitious, working his way up as a project manager at a medium-sized construction firm. He didn't come from money, didn't have connections, and that's precisely what attracted her. With Justin, she could just be Wendy, not the Okonkwo heir. They married within a year. She told him her family was comfortable, and that she worked as a business consultant. Neither statement was technically a lie. What Justin didn't know was that every major contract his company secured over the past 4 years had Wendy's fingerprints all over it. When his firm landed the Gateway Mall project, the one that made his career, it was because Wendy had quietly influenced the tender process. When he was promoted to senior vice president last year, it was because she'd arranged for his company to become a subsidiary partner with Zenith Industries, her flagship construction company. She'd built his success brick by brick from the shadows. But somewhere along the way, Justin stopped seeing her as a partner and started seeing her as an accessory. It began with small things. He stopped asking about her day, stopped touching her hand across the dinner table. His late nights became more frequent, his explanations less detailed. The smell of unfamiliar perfume clung to his shirts. Wendy noticed everything. The new cologne, the way he angled his phone away when texting, the sudden interest in fitness and designer clothes. And then there was Sandra. Sandra Nwosu worked in corporate relations at one of their partner firms. She came from old money. Her family owned a chain of luxury hotels. She was beautiful in an obvious way, with long Brazilian weave and a wardrobe that screamed wealth. She was also the kind of woman who saw men as trophies to collect. Wendy first saw them together at an industry cocktail party. Justin's hand rested too comfortably on Sandra's lower back. They laughed too intimately over private jokes. When he introduced Sandra to colleagues, he called her a valuable connection. He didn't introduce Wendy to anyone that night. She'd come separately, observing from across the room, her champagne untouched. "Mrs. Okonkwo," a voice said beside her. It was Mr. Adeyemi, the CEO of the partner firm where Sandra worked. He was one of the few who knew Wendy's true identity. Should I have a conversation with Miss Nwosu about professional boundaries? Wendy smiled sadly. No. Let's see how this plays out. The affair escalated quickly after that. Justin became bolder, crueler. He criticized Wendy's cooking, her appearance, her lack of ambition. He complained that she didn't understand the pressure of his high-powered career. "You've never built anything," he said one night after she asked him to attend her cousin's wedding. "You just coast on your family's modest wealth. You don't know what it's like to actually earn respect." Wendy had said nothing. She simply turned and walked to their bedroom, closing the door quietly behind her. That night, alone in the dark, she made a decision. She would give him one final chance. She would wait to see if the man she'd loved would find his way back to her. But Justin was already gone. 2 weeks later, he sat across from her at breakfast, not meeting her eyes. "I think we need space," he said, cutting into his eggs with unnecessary force. "I'm moving out. Just temporarily. To focus on my career. This promotion. It's demanding. I need clarity." Wendy's coffee cup paused halfway to her lips. "Space. Don't make this difficult, Wendy. You know things haven't been right between us." "And whose fault is that, Justin?" His jaw tightened. "I'm not doing this. I'll have my things moved out by the weekend." He left the table without another word. Wendy sat in the silence of their dining room, staring at the half-eaten breakfast, and finally let herself cry. Justin moved into a luxury 2-bedroom apartment in Victoria Island, the kind with the infinity pool, 24-hour concierge, and a view of the Atlantic Ocean. He posted photos on Instagram. Champagne at sunset, designer shopping bags, Sandra draped across his arm at exclusive restaurants. What he didn't know was that the apartment building was owned by a subsidiary of Africanfolklore Holdings. The discounted executive rate he'd received was courtesy of Wendy's silent instruction to the property manager. Even in her pain, she couldn't stop protecting him. Sandra made sure everyone knew she'd won. She posted couple photos with captions like, "Finally found someone who matches my energy," and "When God closes a door, he opens a penthouse." Her friends flooded the comments with congratulations, as if Justin were a prize she'd rightfully claimed. At the office, the gossip spread like wildfire. Justin brought Sandra to the company gala as his date, introducing her as someone very special. Colleagues who knew the truth about Wendy's identity shifted uncomfortably, avoiding eye contact with both of them. David, Justin's former mentor and current COO of the subsidiary, pulled him aside. "Justin, what are you doing?" "I'm moving on, David. My marriage was dead anyway. Do you have any idea who your wife—" "I don't want to talk about Wendy," Justin cut him off. "That chapter is closed. I'm building something new. Sandra's family has connections I never had access to before. Her uncle sits on 3 major boards. This is about strategy, David. Positioning myself for the next level." David stared at him with something close to pity. "You're making a terrible mistake. You're just jealous that I'm finally operating at the level I was always meant for." David walked away shaking his head. Meanwhile, Wendy's family was not taking the situation well. Her mother called weekly, voice tight with fury. "Let me handle this, Wendy. One phone call and that boy will be begging on his knees." "No, Mama. He has humiliated you. Paraded that girl around like some trophy while my daughter sits at home. The disrespect." "I said no." Wendy's voice was firm. "He made his choice. I won't force him to stay." Her younger brother Emmanuel was less diplomatic. "Just say the word, and I'll make sure he never works in this industry again. He doesn't even realize you're the reason he has a career." "He'll realize soon enough," Wendy said quietly. What hurt most wasn't Justin's betrayal. It was his blindness. He truly believed he'd earned everything himself. Every contract, every promotion, every opportunity. He walked through a world she'd carefully constructed for him, never once questioning why doors kept opening. And now he was about to slam them all shut. The phone call came on a Tuesday evening. Justin's voice was crisp, businesslike. "Wendy, I need to come by the house this weekend to collect the rest of my things. I'll be bringing Sandra. She's helping me organize everything. I assume that won't be a problem." Wendy stood in her home office, surrounded by files and financial reports, staring out at the city lights. No problem at all, Justin. Saturday afternoon. Perfect. And Wendy? Let's keep this civil, please. No drama. She almost laughed. I've never been one for drama, have I? After he hung up, Wendy sat in her leather chair for a long time, making calculations. Then she picked up her phone and made 3 calls. The first was to her head of security. The second was to her lawyer. The third was to her mother. Mama, she said quietly, this Saturday, I'm going to need you to trust me. Saturday arrived with brilliant sunshine. The kind that made Legos feel hopeful despite everything broken underneath. Justin's Mercedes pulled into the circular driveway at exactly 2 p.m. Sandra stepped out first, dressed in designer everything. Gucci sunglasses, a Hermes bag, red bottom heels that clicked with authority against the stone pavement. Wow, she breathed, taking in the mansion properly for the first time. This place is bigger than I thought. No wonder he's been dragging his feet on the divorce. He doesn't want to let go of this lifestyle. Justin laughed uncomfortably. It's her family's house, not really hers. Old money types like to show off. They walked to the front door. Justin used his key. Wendy hadn't changed the locks and pushed it open. The foyer was exactly as he remembered. Marble floors, crystal chandelier, fresh flowers on the center table. But something felt different. There was an energy in the air. A sense of formality that hadn't been there before. Justin. Sandra's voice echoed through the space. Where should we start? Maybe the master bedroom? Oh, I can already imagine how we'll redecorate your new place. Something modern, less stiff. Sandra, keep your voice down. Why? She's probably hiding in some corner feeling sorry for herself. Honestly, women like her just. That's enough. The voice came from the living room. Cool, measured, unmistakably Wendy's. They turned. Wendy stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, backlit by afternoon sun streaming through the glass. She wore a navy-tailored suit, Armani perfectly fitted, with a crisp white blouse underneath. Her hair was pulled back in a sleek bun. Her makeup subtle but impeccable. She looked nothing like the casual, soft woman Justin had left behind. She looked like exactly what she was. Powerful, untouchable, wealthy beyond measure. And Sandra recognized her immediately. The color drained from Sandra's face so quickly Justin thought she might faint. Her hand flew to her mouth, her Hermes bag slipping from her shoulder and hitting the floor with an expensive thud. Wait, wait. Sandra's voice was barely a whisper. She pointed with a trembling finger. You're Justin, that's... Oh my God. What are you talking about? Justin looked between them, confused. That's her. Sandra's voice rose to a near shriek. That's Wendy Okonkwo. Justin, that's the CEO. Justin laughed. What? Sandra, you're confused. This is my wife, Wendy. She's a consultant or something. No. Sandra backed toward the door, her heels catching on the marble. Justin, listen to me. I've seen her face in confidential briefings. That's Wendy Okonkwo, the Okonkwo. The one who owns. She stopped, her eyes going wide with horror. Oh God. Oh no. What have I done? Justin's smile faltered. You're being ridiculous. Am I? Wendy's voice cut through the room like a blade. She walked toward them slowly, each step deliberate. Sandra's right, Justin. Though I'm surprised it took her this long to figure it out. We've been in the same meetings before, haven't we, Sandra? You just never looked at me closely. This isn't funny, Wendy. Justin's voice had an edge of panic now. Wendy picked up a folder from the side table. She'd placed it there this morning, knowing this moment would come, and held it out to him. Open it. Wendy. Open it, Justin. His hand shook as he took the folder. Inside were documents. Corporate structures, ownership papers, board appointments, signed contracts. Page after page of evidence showing the vast network of companies controlled by Okonkwo Holdings. And at the center of every organizational chart, every signature line, every final approval. Wendy Okonkwo, Chief Executive Officer. Justin's face went pale. This can't be. The Gateway Mall project, Wendy said softly. The one that made your career 4 years ago? I approved it. The partnership with Zenith Industries that got you promoted to Senior VP? I structured it. Every major client your company has secured in the past 3 years reported directly to me. Your salary increase last year? I signed off on it personally. Sandra made a small wounded sound in her throat. You're lying, Justin whispered. But his voice had no conviction. Wendy walked to her desk and picked up her phone. She pressed a button. Within seconds, 3 people entered the room. Mr. Adeyemi, the CEO who'd spoken to her at the cocktail party, David, Justin's mentor, and Mrs. Ogunlade, the head of legal affairs for Africanfolklore Holdings. Gentlemen, Mrs. Ogunlade, Wendy said calmly, please confirm for my husband who I am. David spoke first, his voice heavy with regret. Justin, I tried to warn you. Wendy Africanfolklore is the CEO and sole owner of Africanfolklore Holdings. She's been running the entire operation since her father passed. We've all known for years. We've been reporting to her. Justin stumbled backward, collapsing into a chair. Why didn't anyone tell me? Because she asked us not to, Mr. Adeyemi said quietly. She wanted you to love her for who she was, not what she owned. And we all watched you throw it away. Sandra was crying now, mascara running down her face. Mrs. Africanfolklore, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. Please, You knew I was his wife, Wendy said coldly. That should have been enough. I can fix this, Sandra babbled. I'll resign, I'll leave the city, You'll do nothing. Wendy turned her gaze to the trembling woman. Your transfer to our Abuja office was processed yesterday. You leave Monday. And Sandra? Your family's hotel chain has been trying to secure a partnership with our real estate division for 2 years. Consider that deal permanently dead. Sandra fled from the house, her sobs echoing in the driveway. Justin sat motionless, staring at the documents in his lap. Why? He finally whispered. Why did you hide this from me? Wendy's composure cracked just for a moment. Because I loved you, Justin. I wanted you to love me too. Not my money, not my name, not what I could do for your career. Just me. And for a while I thought you did. I did love you. No. Wendy shook her head. You loved what you thought I was. Simple. Manageable. Someone who wouldn't challenge you or outshine you. The moment you thought you'd found someone better, someone with the connections and status you craved, you discarded me without a second thought. Wendy, please. I gave you everything, Justin. And you repaid me with betrayal. She walked to the door and opened it. Now get out of my house. You wanted independence? You wanted to build your own success? Let's see how you do without me. You can't do this. I already have. Wendy's voice was ice. As of this morning, your employment contract with the subsidiary has been terminated. The apartment you're living in? You have 30 days to vacate. The car? Company property, return it by Monday. Everything you thought you earned? It was mine to give and mine to take away. Justin stood swaying. You're destroying me. No, Justin. I built you. You destroyed yourself. The 3 witnesses filed out silently. Justin stumbled toward the door, then turned back one last time. I'm sorry, he whispered. Wendy looked at him, really looked at him, and felt nothing but profound sadness. So am I. The door closed behind him with a soft final click. The collapse was swift and merciless. By Monday morning, Justin's desk had been cleared, his access badges deactivated, his name removed from company directories. His colleagues avoided his calls. The industry, which had welcomed him so warmly when he'd seemed to be rising, now turned its back with calculated indifference. He called Wendy 17 times that first week. Every call went to voicemail. He sent emails, text messages, even tried showing up at the house. Her security team, professional, polite, immovable, turned him away each time. Sandra had already disappeared to Abuja. Her social media accounts scrubbed of any mention of Justin. Her family, mortified by the scandal and desperate to repair relations with Africanfolklore Holdings, had apparently ordered her into silence. Justin's apartment, the one with the ocean view and infinity pool, felt like a prison now. Every luxury item mocked him. The lease was in the company's name, and the eviction notice arrived exactly 28 days after the confrontation. He moved into a modest 2-bedroom flat in Surulere, the neighborhood he'd grown up in and spent years trying to escape. His mother visited once. She sat in his sparsely furnished living room, looking around at the crumbling walls and worn furniture, and wept. How did you let this happen? She asked, her voice breaking. That girl, Wendy, she was a blessing. Beautiful, kind, educated, and you didn't even know she was wealthy beyond measure. You had everything, Justin. Everything. I didn't know, Mama. You didn't want to know. Her voice rose, sharp with anger and grief. You were so busy chasing status, chasing that painted girl with her designer bags, that you never saw what was right in front of you. Your wife built your entire career. And you threw her away like garbage. Mama, please. Your father would be ashamed. She stood, gathering her bag. I raised you better than this. I taught you to value character, not connections. And you failed. You failed yourself, you failed that good woman, and you failed me. She left without saying goodbye. The rejection cut deeper than anything else. His own mother couldn't look at him without disgust. His former colleagues were no better. David agreed to meet him for coffee once, out of residual loyalty. I need help, Justin said desperately. A reference, a contact, anything. I can't get hired anywhere. My resume goes into a black hole. David stirred his coffee slowly. You humiliated the most powerful woman in this industry, Justin. Publicly. You brought your mistress to company events, flaunted your affair, and then tried to claim her family's connections as your own. Do you understand how that looks? What that says about your character? I made a mistake. You made a choice. Multiple choices. And now you're facing consequences. David leaned forward. I tried to warn you. So did others. But you were so convinced of your own brilliance, so certain that you'd earned everything on merit, that you couldn't see the truth. Wendy gave you every opportunity to be a good man. You chose otherwise. So that's it? I'm blacklisted. No one has to blacklist you, Justin. Your reputation speaks for itself. David stood. I hope you find your way. I really do. But I can't help you. No one can. Justin watched him walk away, disappearing into the Lagos traffic. The isolation was suffocating. Friends stopped calling. His WhatsApp groups went quiet whenever he posted. Invitations to weddings and parties dried up completely. His health began to deteriorate. Stress manifested as insomnia, weight loss, constant headaches. He couldn't eat without feeling sick. Couldn't sleep without nightmares of Wendy's face. Cold, disappointed, done with him forever. He drove past her house one night, 3 months after everything fell apart. The lights were on. He could see people inside through the windows, a dinner party, laughter, music. Wendy appeared briefly, smiling at something someone said, looking radiant in a way he'd never appreciated before. She looked free. He sat in his car across the street, watching the life he'd destroyed, and finally understood the magnitude of his loss. It wasn't just the money or the career or the status. It was her. Wendy. The woman who'd loved him enough to hide her power so he could feel strong. The woman who'd built his success brick by brick, asking nothing in return except his loyalty. And he'd given her betrayal instead. Justin drove home, climbed the stairs to his small flat, and sat in the dark. He didn't deserve her. He never had. But God, he missed her. 6 months after the revelation, Justin received an invitation to his cousin Tun's wedding. His first instinct was to decline. He couldn't afford a gift, couldn't face the questions, couldn't bear the pity in people's eyes. But his mother called personally. You will come to this wedding, Justin. You will put on a good suit, you will smile, and you will show this family that you still have dignity left. Do you understand me? Yes, Mama. The ceremony was held at a luxury hotel in Ikoyi, one of the hotels, Justin realized with bitter irony, owned by Sandra's family. The universe had a cruel sense of humor. He arrived late, slipping into the back of the reception hall just as dinner was being served. The room glittered with wealth. Crystal chandeliers, elaborate floral arrangements, a live band playing classic highlife music. Everyone was dressed in their finest agbada and geli. And then he saw her. Wendy sat at a table near the front, surrounded by family and business associates. She wore a stunning emerald green dress with gold accessories, her natural hair styled in elegant curls. She was laughing at something her brother Emmanuel said. Her whole face lit up with genuine joy. She looked nothing like the sad, quiet woman he'd left behind. She looked powerful, confident, at peace. Justin's chest tightened painfully. He tried to stay invisible, but fate had other plans. During the reception, as guests mingled and congratulated the couple, he found himself in the same corridor as Wendy's family. Her mother saw him first. Mrs. Okonkwo's face hardened into granite. "You have nerve showing your face here." "I was invited, Ma. Tund is my cousin." "Family." She spat the word like a curse. "You don't know the meaning of that word. My daughter gave you everything, her heart, her loyalty, her resources, and you treated her like she was nothing. Like she was disposable." "Mrs. Okonkwo, please, if I could just speak to Wendy." "You will stay away from my daughter." Emmanuel stepped forward, his voice dangerously quiet. "You've done enough damage. I just want to apologize. To explain." "Explain what?" Another voice, familiar and cutting. Wendy's eldest brother, Chitty, emerged from the crowd. "Explain how you paraded your mistress around while your wife suffered in silence? Explain how you built your career on her foundation and never once said thank you? Explain how you mocked her to that woman, called her unambitious, said she never built anything." Justin's face burned with shame. "I didn't know." "You didn't care to know," Chitty corrected. "And now you want forgiveness? Sympathy? You'll get neither here." A small commotion drew their attention. Wendy was leaving, her security team creating a path through the crowd. She moved with quiet grace, stopping to thank the bride and groom before heading toward the exit. Justin broke free from Wendy's brothers and followed, desperate. "Wendy, please." She stopped at the hotel entrance, her back to him. Her security team tensed, but she raised a hand, signaling them to wait. Slowly she turned. Up close she was even more beautiful than he remembered. But her eyes, those eyes that used to look at him with so much love, were empty of any warmth. "Justin. I'm sorry." The words tumbled out, raw and broken. "God, Wendy, I'm so sorry. I was stupid, arrogant, blind. I threw away everything for nothing. I see that now. I see what I lost." She regarded him with the same expression she might give a stranger. "What do you want me to say, Justin? That you'll forgive me? That maybe someday we could?" "No." The word was final, absolute. "Wendy, please. I gave you 6 years of my life," she said quietly. 6 years of building you up, supporting your dreams, protecting your ego. I hid who I was so you could feel like the successful one, the powerful one. I made myself small so you could feel big. I know, and I'm not finished." Her voice was steel. "When you decided I wasn't enough, when you brought that woman into our lives, into our home, I still protected you. I still made sure you landed softly, that you had resources, that you wouldn't be destroyed completely. Even after everything, I showed you more mercy than you ever showed me." Justin's tears fell freely now. I know I don't deserve. You don't deserve my anger, Justin. You don't deserve my attention. You don't even deserve my forgiveness, because that would require you to matter to me, and you don't. Not anymore." The words hit like physical blows. "I loved you," Wendy continued, her voice never rising, never breaking. "I loved you enough to sacrifice my truth. And you loved yourself more than you ever loved me. That's not something I can fix or forgive. That's just who you are. I've changed. No, Justin. You've just run out of options." She adjusted her clutch, preparing to leave. "You're not sorry you hurt me. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry you lost access to wealth and power. You're sorry your life is hard now. But you're not actually sorry for what you did to me as a person. That's not true. Isn't it?" She looked at him one last time. "If I were still the woman you thought I was, the consultant with modest family money, would you be here right now, begging for another chance? Or would you still be with Sandra, still looking for your next upgrade?" Justin opened his mouth, but no words came out. They both knew the answer. Wendy smiled sadly. "That's what I thought." She turned toward her waiting car, then paused. "I hope you find happiness, Justin. Real happiness, not the kind built on status or connections or what other people can give you. I hope you learn to value loyalty and character and love. I hope the next woman you're with doesn't have to hide who she is to make you feel like a man." "Wendy." "Goodbye, Justin." She walked away, her security team forming a protective barrier, and disappeared into the Lagos night. Justin stood alone outside the hotel, watching her car pull away, the taillights fading into traffic. He would see her again, of course. Lagos was a small city for people in their circles. He would see her at weddings, at business events, at family gatherings. He would watch her succeed, watch her smile, maybe even watch her fall in love with someone who deserved her. And he would carry the weight of what he'd lost for the rest of his life. 3 years later, Justin worked as a project coordinator at a small construction firm. The pay was modest but honest. He'd learned to live within his means, learned humility the hard way. His mother had eventually forgiven him, though their relationship would never be the same. Some of his friends had trickled back, the ones who cared about the man rather than the position. But on nights when he couldn't sleep, when regret sat heavy on his chest, he would think about Wendy, about the home they'd built, the life they could have had, the love he'd destroyed with his own hands. She'd moved on completely. He'd heard through the family network that she was dating someone, a professor at the University of Lagos, someone who'd known her before the wealth, who valued her mind and her heart. Justin was happy for her. Genuinely. It was the least of what she deserved. He'd learned the lesson too late, but he'd learned it thoroughly. Some losses can never be recovered. Some betrayals can never be forgiven. And some men spend the rest of their lives measuring every relationship against the one they destroyed, knowing they'll never find its equal again. His mother had been right all along. He'd had a diamond and he'd traded it for glass. And there was no going back. Thank you for staying with me to the end. Comment your thoughts on the betrayal, and tell me where you are watching from. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment below.